Hey there, thanks for joining us and welcome to Converting Prospects to Clients in 2 minutes or less. Are you interested in video but you don't know where to start? Or are you afraid you'll launch into video and look unprofessional? Well, if you answered yes to either of those or maybe both, you're probably feeling stuck. You realize that video is a great way to connect with clients, and you might have heard that it helps convert prospects to new clients as well. But really, where do you begin? Right here. I'm Laura Garfield, co-founder of Idea Decanter.
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad you joined us today. I'm co-founder Sharon Gatula, and we have a virtual team that works with folks in financial services from coast to coast in the US and Canada, helping people just like you use video to differentiate themselves in a competitive marketplace.
From our clients, we've heard stories like, I know I should be marketing with video, but I don't have the time. Or it's been on my list, but I just keep putting it off. Or, and this one's my favorite, getting a video through my compliance department would be a nightmare. And who needs a nightmare? Well, you're probably not going to like this, but those are just fears. We have cracked the code on creating videos, and it's not intimidating and it's not complicated. And today we're going to share some of the tools that we use with you. You're going to learn our system for figuring out the right thing to say, and then we're going to teach you how to deliver it in videos with confidence. And then if you're wondering how to apply what you've learned today to launch your own video marketing strategy, before we close, I will share 2 free resources you can access to get yourself started. We will also be stopping for questions a few times as we go through our presentation, so make sure you post questions in that questions area on the right side of your screen, not the chat. Put them in the questions and we will get to it. And finally, we want to start off with a huge thank you to Ross, to Lisa, to Bryant, and the whole team over at Advisor 2X. They work tirelessly to bring this community together and to bring you great resources. And we could not be more honored that they invited us here today to share our video strategy with you. So let's get started by covering the 3 ways you could be creating videos. We think of it on kind of 3 levels. You know about the on-site video production. That's when the crew comes to you. And that's pretty much been on hold for the better part of 2020. You probably also know about selfie style. You can just hold it right up here and record yourself. It's so easy, right? Well, there's the DIY approach. And then there's a hybrid of the 2, and that's where we work with a system called Idea Kit. And we'll talk to you a little bit more about that later. But with any of these 3, you can create content that will help you build trust and educate and share your personality and really connect, because that's the goal at the end of the day. And the more creative you get as you're creating your content, the more you will stand out from every other video that's being created and unleashed on the world. Would you believe that you can do that all with just a 2-minute video? It's true, it can happen. When it comes to personality, our friends at Zuna are a great example. They are a relatively new Portland-based company, and they were planning their launch, and they knew they wanted to incorporate video. Their goal was to let their prospects know that Zuna gets it, and their launch video featured those everyday problems their clients face. And we wanted to give you a little peek at this video that they created. Just give me a minute to pull it up for you. And you're going to get a notification on your screen that you need to click for audio. Make sure you do that because this is pretty funny. So think about what makes that video memorable, what you will remember maybe tomorrow if I ask you about it then. Sure, those improv actors were pretty great, but what you're going to remember is that Zuna understands your problems. Zuna gets it, and they did it with all kinds of personality. You're on mute, Sharon.
I know. The dog saw a squirrel. What can I say? Video is all about that one-on-one experience. It provides you with the feeling of being there and having a conversation firsthand, even if it's actually a virtual experience. And we're all living in a virtual world thanks to 2020. Now, whether you come from news, finance, or even art school, we all love some good stats, and we'd like to share these with you. So here we have number one. According to a HubSpot study, 96% of consumers between the ages of 18 to 34 watch videos several times throughout the week. And 75% of millennials watch at least one video a day. And this might shock you, but millennials are now in their 30s, having children, and making decisions. If you want to connect with those decision makers, video is going to let you meet them in their comfort zone. Number two, including a video in email marketing can increase click-through rates by 200 to 300%. This one's from Digital Information World. And who doesn't want better click-through rates on your marketing emails? Am I right? And then last but not least, from Content Marketing Institute, 70% of business-to-business marketers think that video is more effective than any other form of content when converting qualified leads. You know, humans are an emotional species, and we make major life decisions every day based on our gut. I know you've probably seen this with your own clients. And this is why video really shines in digital marketing. But these are just stats. Laura's going to tell you about a real life case study in action here.
Yeah, take a look at this graph Sharon's pulling up. What you see here is unusual. You see that line across Fernando's face? That tracks viewer engagement for Fernando's Go Big video. What you see is the engagement hangs in there and then drops off on the right side of the screen, which means that really the audience watched this video all the way through till the end card where the call to action is put up on the screen. Now, Fernando runs a wealth management business in the Chicago area, and Go Big is one of his fundamental beliefs. BIG stands for Begin in Gratitude. And before March, if you drop by Fernando's office, you might find his team standing in a circle at their daily meeting, going around one by one and going big, talking about gratitude. It's the way they start their meetings. The first week of the stay-at-home order in Chicago, Fernando realized that video was going to help him keep in touch with his clients. At the time, he wasn't really thinking about his prospects. And when you look back at that graph, that engagement, that messaging and the viewers that hung with him, this is the kind of engagement you're going for. So how do you get your viewers to stay tuned in? Well, Fernando did a couple of things, and he got personal. He used stories to connect with his audience. And here's why we think his messaging worked. He had a positive message that addressed his viewers' needs at the time, and he was authentic. He was talking about something that was truly him. And how did it work? Well, 8 minutes after Fernando sent that video out to a list of about 300 contacts, clients, centers of influence, and some prospects, 8 minutes later, he got an email back from a prospect mentioning the video and saying that they were ready to get started working with his team. Later that same afternoon, he had another prospect reach out who had also received the video, and they were ready to get started too. People ask me all the time, so what's my story? Because for you, it's probably not Go Big. An easy answer for that is to look at those conversations that you're having over and over. If you find you're repeating yourself, that's potential content for video. And in the best stories, you really just have to be yourself, not follow the crowd. So ask yourself, what makes me stand out? What makes you different? Because stories are really what connect us. They are what make us memorable. And you need to be telling your story. For our friend Jania Stout and her fiduciary plan advisors team at Hightower, when we asked that question, the story was easy. It's part of her team's identity, and it's based on an essay from the late 1800s. That essay is called A Message to Garcia. And the crux of it is that when President McKinley needed a message delivered to the leader of the Cuban rebels in the midst of the Spanish-American War, Garcia doesn't ask how. He simply takes his order to deliver that message and figures out how to cross the miles, an ocean, and a jungle to do it. This is the kind of story that's far better than a mission statement in a video. It demonstrates in a memorable way the commitment of Jania's team to their clients. And you better believe that it made it into one of their videos.
So once you have your story straight, it's time to record. But how are you going to do that with confidence? I hear all the time that the world's divided into two camps: people who are comfortable on a stage in front of an audience, and those comfortable in front of a camera, broadcasting to the unknown masses. Which camp are you in? I personally think there should be a third camp: those comfortable behind the camera, preferably in a pitch dark photo studio. Here's a picture of me back in the 90s when I was a food photographer. I had just started out my career, and I literally spent my days in a pitch dark studio behind a camera, all dressed in my black jeans, black t-shirt, black high top Reeboks, your typical LA photographer. I was a food photographer and spent my days either in the restaurants or in the studio. And my workday was spent setting up lights and cameras with a small team. You could say it was an introvert's best life. The food stylist would be over in the kitchen, assembling an armature of toothpicks and rubber bands to build up a plate of salmon for a magazine cover, or maybe meticulously gluing sesame seeds one by one on a bun for a Burger King poster. My assistant and I would be working on lighting the set, moving lights and props inch by inch to get it perfect. And then eventually the food stylist would call out to us, "Hey, the hero's ready." And in would come the hero perfect food on a perfectly pristine plate, and we would sprint like mad to the finish line to get it all perfectly lit and styled for that final capture, ready to FedEx to the magazine or ad agency as soon as it came back from the lab. Now fast forward to the digital age, and I went from LA food photographer to co-founding a video marketing agency. And so here I am today with Idea Decanter, in front of the camera as the talent in our videos, just about as much as I'm behind the camera coaching clients through their record sessions. Was I comfortable when I started? Oh my God, no. Honestly, Laura can vouch for that. But what made me nervous and uncomfortable in front of the lens is probably the same for you. And it really comes down to fear. Fear of looking bad, fear of sounding dumb, and definitely fear of being judged. And I want you to know that I have been in your shoes and I get it. We joke with our clients all the time that your first video is going to be your worst. Seriously, we have seen it time and time again, because once you see yourself on camera, you're gonna know what you want to improve and you'll build a more confident delivery. So to start you out on the right foot, we want to share this video from Mike. Now he has a head start because he's involved in community theater. But let's watch his video, and then we're going to break down the actionable steps that you can start using right away. And if you don't have audio, I think there's a link in the chat with some directions.
Remember, you might have to click for sound on your screen. Here we go. Oh, Mike is so great. I was just telling Sharon the other day that they should put his voice into my Calm app and help me go to sleep at night. But if you have any blocks or reservations that are making it really hard for you to get on camera, please put them in the questions. We would love to answer them for you or try to give you some actionable ways to get over them as we go along.
And I will say that the number one thing that I can tell people when we're working with them is that they're not on camera 100% of the time, and that relaxes them quite a bit. So let's see. So we're going to go step by step to what we think Mike really excels at. So number one, he's comfortable with his script. Obviously, this isn't the first time he's ever said these words. And not only did he probably write his script, but he's practiced it. He's told me at least a half a dozen times before he's ever sits in front of the camera. And you might say, hey, why bother? I can wing it, or I have a teleprompter. But by going through the motions of actually saying your script out loud, not just in your head, you're giving your mouth muscle memory. So this helps you stumble less, and you'll also know what's coming up next so that you know how to give the right inflection. Number two, he's practiced with the teleprompter. Now, reading a teleprompter is not a natural state of being. It's hard to read it naturally. It takes time and practice. It's like walking and chewing gum at the same time. You need to read and still sound conversational. You'll notice that Mike moves his head and body while he talks as if he's sitting across the table from you. And this does two things. It makes him look natural, but it also hides his eyes reading the teleprompter. If you stay stock still in the video while you read a teleprompter, you're going to come across very robotic. So you definitely want to avoid that. Now, there are some easy ways to get some practice in. There are a couple of teleprompter apps available for your phone or iPad. Most of them are free, at least as a sample script version. We personally use Prompter, which I think is $10 on the App Store. There are some online websites that have teleprompters where you can upload a script and practice, and it puts the script right in front or right underneath the camera on your laptop, so that you can actually like screen record yourself while you're saying your script, and then you can watch it later to see how you look. And then if none of that's your style, you can go old school and you can print out your script big, tape it to your bathroom mirror, and then stand back and watch yourself while you read. Next, emphasis and pacing. We can't emphasize that enough. We tell clients all the time, read your script like you're telling a bedtime story. It's going to feel a little over the top perhaps, but on video, you really want to be at least 20% more animated than you would be in real life. Now, this doesn't mean talking louder or flailing around. If you notice, Mike speaks with enthusiasm and inflection, and he uses dramatic pausing to draw attention to the things that are important in his script. You have to give time for people to catch up with you when they're watching a video and listening to your message. And then last but not least, it does not have to be perfect in one take. It's video, it's not live. So you can cut it, we can cut it. If you have a hard paragraph, just keep redoing it again and again and again until you get it right. And then you just cut that piece into your video and no one will be the wiser.
We do have a question from Tamara in the chat. She says, he is excellent. We totally agree. Who writes the content for these videos? Do the advisors do it themselves? So when we work with clients with Idea Kit, we actually have two routes they can take. Some advisors we work with are writers and love the process of writing, and they take the first stab at their script and we act as editorial review. We also have a piece of our process called a muse session, which is a phone call where we interview the advisor. They download their answers to us, and then we craft up a script that really is in their voice. And then they get to act as the editor. But there are some key things that I think go into writing an effective script. And the points are too many to cover right now, but off the top of my head, three that I think if you're tackling your own script, you should definitely try to incorporate is, first off, use the you. And what I mean by that is video, though it is a one-to-many way to communicate with people, it really is one-on-one. It's me talking to you. And so don't talk about people as people or clients or they. Put you in your script as much as you possibly can. The second thing I would advise is to remember the WIIFM, the what's in it for me, because we are all little egomaniacs. And if we are going to spend our time, which is under great demands these days, we don't have a lot of it to spread around. If we're going to spend our time engaging in the video, we've got to have something in it for me. So make sure you're giving them that. And then the third point that's really easy to accomplish when you're scripting is to start strong. I can't tell you how many advisors I have seen create videos where they start out saying something like, "Hi, I'm Laura Garfield, co-founder of Idea Decanter." And it is the first 5 seconds of your video that is the crucial real estate. It is really the time you have to hook your viewer. And you can't waste it by introducing yourself. You can always have your name and your credentials on the bottom, the lower third of your screen. So really, you've got to remember that prime real estate needs to engage them, ask them a question, give them a surprising stat, give them something they can relate to that's going to catch their imagination and make them want to continue watching the video. Any other questions pop up over there, Sharon? Of course. Thanks. I'm glad you liked them. So oh, Joel's got one too. Yep, this slow note taker. Yeah, I think this presentation is going to be recorded. So just like you have a process in your business, we have a process to make videos. We produce hundreds of them a year, and I want to show you the turnkey way that we do it. Our process starts with shipping out some gear. We use a ring light. I get a lot of questions about that. We use a ring light by Newer. We ship out the stands. We ship you a lavalier mic, the little clip-on. I also get a lot of questions about that. We recommend the Rode Smart Lav. It's more on the expensive side of microphones, but well worth the money. Sharon likes to say garbage in, garbage out when it comes to audio. So those are some gear recommendations that we stick to. And then we also send out the cables and the little adapters and things that attach to your gear to your phone. And then our second step is to help you build a playlist. And that's a plan that lays out a custom year-long video strategy. And then we get to work with you on a memorable script. Some of those tips that we talked about and lots more. And then for the remote record session, we use an app on iPhone or iPad that's kind of like FaceTime. So we can see you and you can see us. So once we get into the record session, we can help you set up the gear, get the background right, get the lighting right, do a mic check, and then we are directing you. So you're getting live coaching through your record session, and we're turning the screen of your phone or iPad into a teleprompter so you can read along, which is why those teleprompter tips we talked about are so important. Before your call is over, we are pulling the clips off your phone into the cloud so we can start editing right away, which is just a hands-off process for you because you should kick back and relax and just wait for a video to be dropped into your inbox. So that's kind of how Idea Kit works, and that's how the videos that you watched today were made. Are there any last questions we have over? How's the editing done? Is there an app for editing? Sharon, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, so our process when we work with Idea Kit or when we are running around the country back in pre-2020 filming is that we shoot, come back to our studios, and we edit, and we use Adobe Premiere projects. There are plenty of other products on the market. I mean, obviously like iMovie and things like that. There's Final Cut. There is a free product called DaVinci, but it is not for the faint of heart. It is pretty complicated, thus free, I suppose. And then I think there are now, Adobe has a Rush product that you can edit on an iPhone or iPad, which for me is very difficult because I like to see things big, but all of those are options for you.
Looks like we've covered everything else over in the questions. Before we close, I do want to address the final question. You might be thinking, what do I do next to build my video marketing strategy? So let me walk you through those 2 free resources that can get you started. Resource number 1 is our formula for better video. Of course, it's a video because we do video, even though Sharon doesn't like it that much. In this video, Sharon and I don't just tell you how to record a story. We show you how to do it, from setting up to lighting your shots to reading from the teleprompter. There's a lot we pack in there. And I think it's like a 6-minute video. And to get that, you can just shoot me an email. My email is laura@ideadecanter.com, and just ask me to send you the formula. I'll send you the link to the video. Now, if you're ready to get started creating your own videos, resource number 2 is a great next step. You can book a complimentary video strategy session with me, where we can talk about your history so far with video and your goals for the future. I want to make sure that you walk out of that session with 1 or more strategies that you can use to launch your own video marketing. And if you'd like help implementing those strategies, then we can talk about what it's like to work together. And if you would like that resource, again, hit me up. My email is laura@ideadecanter.com, and just ask me for a strategy session. I'll send you a link and you can get booked. I do have 10 strategy sessions saved on my calendar for next week. So send me an email and you can grab one of those. Any last questions? Third, app for editing. I think we covered that one.
Yeah, I think Premiere Rush, Adobe Premiere Rush is probably the easiest. This one has CapCut, is his favorite editing app on the phone.
CapCut, write it down.
It's in the chat, people.
Excellent. Well, remember, video marketing doesn't have to be daunting, even if it feels like it is. With a 2-minute video, you really can convert prospects to clients. We have seen it happen. We encourage you to get started. There's no use waiting on the sidelines. Just dive right in. We thank you so much for your time today. Thanks for joining us.
Have a good day.